Now, I did see one unpopular opinion, which I found so shocking, so surprising. I almost died. I'm just kidding. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but I was very surprised. And it's this. Hi everyone, it's me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alanna and I'm a Canadian, but I have been living here in the UK for the last 7 years. Now, I asked you guys, what are your unpopular opinions about the UK? And I received a lot. Now, a lot of these responses come to us from Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, what are you doing? Now let's all get comfortable, maybe grab yourself a cup of tea. Let's get ready to be offended by each other's opinions. So without further ado, let's go. First up, complaining. So constant complaining can actually be very draining, especially weather related. I totally get it. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I do complain about the weather sometimes. It becomes just like a habit. It becomes like your go-to small talk statements. Like you don't know what to say to somebody, so let's just complain about how hot it is. Let's complain about how cold it is. Let's complain about how wet it is. Let's just pick whatever weather situation is happening and complain about it. But I do get it. Constant complaining is tiring, it's annoying, it's just negative and it's like pointless. It doesn't help anything or solve anything. So I am going to pledge that I will complain about the weather slightly less. We did have a couple unpopular opinions about London. London gets too much hate from Northerners. It's the best city in the world. Or London is actually great and everyone everywhere else in the UK is just jealous. I do think London is an incredible city. It's vibrant, it's like, there's so much going on and there's so much to see and do and drink and taste, and it is just always, stuff is always happening. Personally, I could never live there. I've realized I am very much a small town village type of person, just my humble opinion. A little bit countryside, maybe a little bit coastal. London is not for me, but I do think it's a fabulous city. But also, every time I talk about London, I do get people in the comments telling me how horrible it is. So, the thought of fish and chips is always better than actually having fish and chips. There's been so many times where perhaps I've had a horrible day. Perhaps the deadlines are just like creeping up on me and I'm not having a great time and I'm just not having a good day, and say, you know what, I'm gonna get fish and chips. And you go to your local chippy and you get your fish and chips and you come home and everything is really soggy and perhaps you question how long that piece of fish has been sitting out and it is disappointing. I don't think it's disappointing all the time, but there's a high probability that it can be disappointing. A couple people mentioned Sunday roasts. Now, if you watch any like expats or people reacting to British stuff, a lot of people talk about Sunday roasts because it's like one of those things that everyone talks about. But a lot of you guys said Sunday roasts are actually not that good. Sunday roasts are overrated, or I saw a couple of these, barbecues are way better than Sunday roasts. Now, I haven't had a barbecue in forever. This property doesn't have a backyard. So that kind of sucks. And like going to a nice barbecue, I feel like it's been a hot minute, but I get what you mean. I still love a Sunday roast. However, you can't have real bad ones. You know, when you go to a pub and you think, ooh, this is gonna be a lovely Sunday roast. Yeah, great. Haven't had one forever. And then like the fish and chips, it's just more disappointing than you thought it would be. Saying that though, how many barbecues have you had that haven't been rained on? Let me know. Stupid coffee shops everywhere. I humbly disagree. I love going to a nice little coffee shop, nice little cafe. I absolutely love it. And it's one of my goals this year to go to as many different cafes, coffee shops, coffee roasters, whatever, in Kent, like as many local ones as I possibly can, because I absolutely love it. In my humble opinion, there's been so many times when I go to a cute little coffee shop and all of the tables are full. And I think where businesses here in the UK tend to be much smaller in size than what you would see in North America. You know, the businesses, the homes, the buildings are much smaller. You can only fit so many people in them. So there's so many times when I go to a nice little coffee shop, I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna get like some sort of pastry, maybe a sausage roll if they have them. Ooh, how exciting. Have a nice cup of coffee. I'm gonna sit, maybe read my book or chat with a friend or whatever. And there's no seats. English breakfasts are vulgar. Another unpopular opinion that I saw a couple of relates to alcohol. So some people said, most Brits are alcoholics, or Brits cannot control their alcohol intake. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with having like a pub culture, right? Having a lot of pubs, and pubs are very, you know, well loved and well known, and, you know, sometimes the center of the community. But what do you do at a pub? You usually drink. Now, you don't have to, and people will say you don't have to drink at the pub. But really, what about Ed Sheeran is crap? I just don't get the obsession. Honestly, me too. Probably not a hot take, no pun intended, but the Brits need to stop pretending it doesn't get hot enough for AC. I think about this every summer, and I know I've talked about it a lot, and I get a lot of similar comments, and the similar comment is, it's never hot enough to warrant AC or aircon or air conditioning. Brits will tell me you'd only use it for 2 days out of the year. I humbly disagree. I totally agree. Jane, I 100% agree. It feels like every summer we're getting heat warnings and we're getting heat waves where the temperature is dangerously high and there's no way to like protect yourself against it. You're just stuck in these houses that are built to retain heat, and it is just unbearably uncomfortable. So last spring, we bought a really cheap, like discounted aircon unit. It's only really good for one room, so we keep it in the bedroom. So at least at night, you know that you can sleep, like it's cold enough to sleep, but you basically just have to sweat it out during the day. Even still, I miss aircon. It doesn't need to be everywhere, right? Like maybe when you think about introducing aircon, you think, oh my God, like shops and businesses and homes. I would say no. Let's just start introducing it into homes so you have like an escape from the heat. I like how gloomy and rainy it is. Now, there is something I will say. There is something about a really dark and gloomy, stormy, rainy, atmospheric type winter day when you can stay home, have a nice cup of tea, sit on the couch in a big fuzzy blanket and watch TV. It's cozy, it's wonderful, I love it. Do I want that all the time? No, I will literally lose my mind. When talking about weather, we had a lot of opinions about the weather. Some people say, weather's not that bad. Other people say, our weather is legitimately the best in the world. Not too hot, not too cold, no extremes. Now, would I say the UK has the best weather in the world? No, I would not. But I respect your opinion. I politely disagree. Baked beans should sit next to the toast, not on top of it, 100%. Soggy toast sucks. It's gross. It's unnecessary. We don't need it. Put your beans to the side and scoop them on the toast as you go. You maintain the integrity of the toast, and it is the best way to eat beans on toast. I know it says beans on toast in the name, but that doesn't mean we can't innovate it a little bit, improve it a little bit. Another reoccurring hot take or unpopular opinion has to do with soccer. So, sorry, football. Some people said soccer, some people said football. Loads of people said, you know what? I just don't care about football. And to you, I say, I am one of you. I've never cared about football. I have tried and I just don't care. Now, that's not like a negative thing about football. I just don't like sports. Not my cup of tea, if you will. I appreciate that people, I don't know, get like really excited about something. Like, I don't want to be negative about people being excited about something. It's just, I don't get it. And also, unpopular opinion, but violence spikes every time that important soccer/football matches occur. not to get too heavy, but domestic abuse spikes during these time periods. That's messed up. Mark says, I hate driving on the left. I'm born and bred in the UK, but the right seems so much easier when I drive in France. Mark, I agree. I think as well where I learned how to drive in Canada, obviously, where I grew up, where I am from. So learning how to drive on the right, learning intersections and all that kind of stuff, and then coming to the UK and having to drive on the left, having to do roundabouts, different like speeds and different techniques and that kind of stuff. It's so much harder to drive in the UK. And I know some people really enjoy the act of driving. It's like a nice hobby. It's something that they enjoy doing. I just don't get it. I'd like to drive on the right, if that's okay. Heather says, I have always hated tea. Highly overrated. I am addicted to Lucozade though. Tea is something I've only recently just got into, but even still, coffee is like my preferred method of drink, my preferred choice. But there is something about a gloomy, rainy day when you have a cup of tea. Lovely. Am I obsessed? No. But I could have another cup of coffee today. Kaz says, my unpopular opinion, Christmas starts in November and ends New Year's Eve. Yes. I agree. Nothing exciting happens in November other than bonfire night, but once that's over at the beginning of the month, the rest of November sucks. It's gloomy, it's dark, it's gross. So why not start Christmas a little bit early, put up the lights, put up the tree. There's something that's so wonderful about Christmas lights. Let's put them up in November. There's nothing else going on in November. Who cares? Literally nobody can stop us. The Beatles are the single most overrated band ever. There, I said it. Stu. Brave man. British food is actually amazing. We have a reputation for bland and boring food, which stemmed from post-war times, but the culinary scene in the UK is incredible. You can eat food from any culture, get incredibly high quality products, and fancy food is approachable. Versus, our food is indeed rubbish. I know this is a common perception from the rest of the world, but most Brits get oddly defensive about roast dinners, etc. Not me. I think they're awful. All right, I have a lot of opinions about food because guess what? I love to eat and I will not apologize. So, humble opinion. I think both are correct. I think Hannah, yes, a lot of people, especially other countries, when they think about British food, you think about weird stuff from war times, from like rations, lots of bland, beige food. Now, that stuff is still commercially available and it's still consumed today, but of course, there's much more than that. I will say though, a lot of British food here can be very beige, still can be very bland. What seasoning? I don't know. Do I think it's terrible? No. I think as a Canadian, the thing that I'm always jealous about is Brits have a defined cuisine. You have dishes and foods and snacks and things that are very, very British. And I love that. As a Canadian, when people ask me, what Canadian food do you miss? I can only name maybe 3 or 4 things that are specific to Canada. And that's it. It doesn't have its own like highly defined specific cuisine. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of depressing. Anywho, my unpopular opinion is both of you guys are right. Now, I did see one unpopular opinion, which I found so shocking, so surprising. I almost died. I'm just kidding. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but I was very surprised. And it's this. You shouldn't eat ice cream if you're over the age of 12. I am shocked. If you would like to watch more content, how about this one, the flip side, the things that everybody loves about the UK. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye!